So I'm really happy to have you here and to welcome you. So my name's Gayla Cannon. I'm one of the career counselors here at the Career Development Center. And really quickly, we have 6 career counselors. We help you with your resume, job search. We dabble in internships a little bit, and we can help you with your career planning, and we also help with major and career exploration. The other thing that we do in our office is we have and we sponsor recruiting events. So I'm really excited to go over how to prepare to go to the fair so that you can get the most out of the fair and hopefully achieve whatever your goal is. So really quickly before we start, since there are just a few of us, I'd like to get to know you. If you could just tell us your first name, what your major is, and if you're planning on going to either the general fair or the STEM fair, and if you're looking for an internship or something like that. Just in that way I can tailor the presentation so you guys can get the most out of it. So we'll go ahead and start with you.
Okay, hi, I'm Leah, and I am majoring in elementary education. And to be honest, I don't know what kind of fair to go to be honest.
Okay, perfect. Well, we're so happy to have you here. I believe that we have Davis School District coming to this fair, so you could chat with them.
Okay.
We also have a teacher's fair that I can talk to you about after the event's over.
Okay.
My name is Melanie. I'm majoring in mechanical engineering.
Perfect.
And I'm planning on attending the STEM fair.
Perfect.
I'm looking for an internship for this summer.
Perfect. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, my name's Steven. I'm majoring in cybersecurity.
Perfect.
So the STEM fair's for me.
Okay.
I have a good job right now, but I need practice because in a year I would like to upgrade and do new jobs. I'm hoping to get some good practice.
Perfect. Great. All right. Well, I really appreciate you both introducing yourself, all of you, and that way I can tailor this. So what I'm going to teach you really applies for both fairs, the STEM fair and the spring fair. So as you know, we have the spring career and internship fair. That'll be next Wednesday from 10 to 3 in the ballroom. That's for all majors on campus. We do have possibly a couple of IT cybersecurity companies coming to that, but a week later, which will be on Wednesday, February 2nd from 10 to 3 in the ballroom, we have the STEM career and internship fair. And so for both of you, that's definitely where you want to spend your time and attention. All right, well, given that we have 2 people from STEM or interested in STEM, I'm probably going to tailor my presentation a little bit more to the STEM folks today. But again, the principles equally apply to the general fair as well. So I like to share with students a 3-step process, and this is a nice handout that you can reference as well to take with you. So a lot of people show up at the fair, and we're just so happy to have them there. But I strongly believe that how well you do at the fair starts before you show up at the fair. So let's talk a little bit about some things that you can do before the fair. Then we'll move to during the fair. And believe it or not, there are things that you can do after the fair. So I want to get some audience involvement here. Before you show up at the fair, and you can use this to help you, that's why we have this here for you. What are some things that you should be doing before the fair so that you can get the most out of your time at the fair? What are some things you guys think you can do? You can use this again as a cheat sheet. Yes?
And be ready to answer the questions that you'll probably be asked.
Okay, great. So you can prepare answers for employer questions. That is an excellent point. What are maybe 1 or 2 questions that most employers are going to ask you? Yes?
And what makes you qualified for the job?
Okay, they're going to ask you about your qualifications. Anything else a lot of employers are going to ask you about?
What are we looking for?
What are you looking for? Exactly. So in your case, you're looking for a summer internship. And in your case, you might be looking to build your network for future reference. So the other thing that we strongly recommend that I would add to the list is a lot of employers are going to say something like, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. And that will probably include these, what your major is. I'm looking for a summer internship. I'm learning to build my network. Longer term, this is what I'm looking to do with my career. So you also want to be able to prepare what we call a me in 30 seconds or an elevator pitch. It's really short, who you are, your major, what you're looking for, your unique skills, and a little bit about your career path. So we could talk a lot more about that if we had more time, but here in the Career Center, that's something that we can help you with. All right, anything else you're going to do before the fair, before you show up? Yes?
You bring your resume?
Absolutely. So you're going to bring several paper copies of your resume. Some employers are going to ask you if you have a literal paper copy of your resume. Others might want you to be prepared to send it to them electronically. And I strongly recommend that you bring something like this with you, or it can even be a simple folder where you can have your resumes over here, a pen to write with, and something to take notes. Now, if you're a tech student, you might get away with just a little simple folder for your resumes, and you might be able to take notes on a digital device, like an iPhone, iPad, something like that. But this absolutely is going to help you prepare. Anything else we're going to do before the fair? And we can kind of take a look on this to see if we missed anything. Anything else? Okay, I'm going to add one up here, and that's you want to research the companies that are coming. Now, when you show up to the fair, we're going to give you a map. If you're coming to the general fair, we have 60, 70, 80 companies coming, possibly more. STEM fair, we're hoping for around 50, 60 companies. And so if you can create a list of companies you're interested in speaking with, when we hand you that map, you can kind of step aside, mark off who you want to visit with, and create a game plan. All right, so really quickly, I want to show you how you research the companies. So all of you have a handshake account, and this afternoon we'll be having a how-to handshake presentation at 1 o'clock in this room. But really quickly, you just go to our website, there's a handshake icon, you click on it, you already have an account set up. This is my student account, and so if I wanted to find out who was coming to the fair, I could go and click on the event. So I've gone ahead and clicked on the STEM Career Internship Fair, and I can see a list of companies. Now, what's important along with this is to think about what your goal is for the fair. Summer internship, networking, career planning. It might also be career exploration, where you want to find out more about positions in your field. So then what you're going to do is, through the lens of your goals, you're going to go through here and research the companies, and at a high level, you'll be able to kind of see the companies that are going to be more of a fit for you. And then from there, you can take a deeper dive. All right, I just wanted to go ahead and bring up Observe Point. So Observe Point is a tech company. So for the gentleman in the back, you can kind of see that this might be up your alley. It looks like they might not have cybersecurity up here, but most tech companies need cybersecurity. So I'm glad that I brought this up, because this could be on your list of companies you might want to talk to. And the more information you have, the better questions you can ask the employer. So as a starting point, if you were looking for a job or summer internship, this shows you what they're actively looking for. And then you can also go onto their website as well, because a lot of companies will post additional jobs and internships on their website. From here, you can create some specific questions that will help you stand out as a candidate based around this information. So you're not walking up to the table, introducing yourself. So tell me a little bit about what your company does. You're going to be able to go to a much higher level and say, wow, I've done a lot of research on your company. Can you tell me the direction that you're going to go with your cybersecurity? How is that department structured? Where are your positions located? Things like that. The same would hold true with any major for any fair. So we could talk quite a bit further about doing your research, but at a higher, at a high level, you want to be prepared to ask each employer some questions that are tailored to that specific company. All right, so this is part of the research that you're going to do ahead of time. I usually recommend like an A list. These are the companies I really want to talk with. And maybe I have a B list, companies that if I have time, I will swing by and visit with them. All right, so those are going to be the main things that you want to do before the fair. You also want to think about ahead of time how you're going to dress for the fair, so that if you need to get something cleaned or organized or ironed, you can prepare accordingly, because you do want to show up professionally dressed. All right, anything else that I've missed in terms of the basics in terms of preparing for the fair? All right, I think we covered that. So I strongly suggest that the more preparation you do for the fair, the more confident you're going to be going into the fair, and then the more likely that you're going to get the result that you're looking for. All right, let's go ahead and move to during the fair. So I've prepared ahead of time, hopefully I have some kind of a notebook with my resumes. I might even have my questions for the companies here so that I can glance at them before I go up to visit with an employer. So I'm showing up at the fair. So what are a couple things that I can do during the fair to help me reach whatever goal it is, whether it's an internship, networking, full-time job? What are some things that we could do at the fair? You guys want to chime in at all? Yes?
I guess maybe the attitude that we use when we're talking to people.
Attitude. Attitude is so important. So think for a minute, if you're a recruiter and you do this day in and day out, and you probably have a lot of fairs lined up. Let's talk a little bit about attitude. What kind of attitude and approach are you looking for in the people that walk up to your table? Excellent point. What do you think? If I'm the recruiter, what am I looking for?
Confidence.
Confidence.
But not that like so much confidence that they end up having kind of like an ego.
That's exactly right. We want confidence, but we don't want cocky, right? And there's a line between confidence and cocky.
Way big difference.
Big difference. I am so glad you brought up that point. So confidence is really important. Anything else? Maybe what's one or two other things that I'm looking for in a recruiter, as a recruiter? Yes?
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm, right? You're excited to come talk to me if I'm the recruiter. So you want to be there. I love that, enthusiasm. What's maybe one more thing if I'm the recruiter that I'm gauging when you're walking up to talk to me? Anybody else? Yes?
Maybe like an interest in what you have.
Yeah, an interest, right? You're showing an interest in my company, in the positions that I have, and you're really showing an interest in what can you as the candidate do for me as the recruiter, all right? So, and this all kind of comes back to the preparation, because the more research that you've done, the more that you can connect with me and say, hey, I did some research on your summer internship. That sounds really exciting to me. It's the exact type of work I'd like to do. Can you tell me a little bit more about the project or projects I get to work on, right? So here we are during. So we love having the right attitude. We've got enthusiasm. Confidence and interest. All right. The other thing that I would strongly recommend that you do is that after you, as you're engaging with the recruiter, I always like to see if they'll let you have a business card or if there's a way that you can follow up with them. All right. Most recruiters and hiring managers at the fair will have a stack of business cards. If anybody ever offers you a business card, you graciously take it and say, thank you so much. And if they don't have a business card, you can, if the person seems approachable, say, hey, could I follow up with you in a couple months on my application when the interviewing process opens up? So you also want to be asking them some questions about a position. When do I need to have my application in? What are they looking for? And how can I follow up? Is there a way for me to follow up? So I used to be a corporate recruiter for years and years and years, and I used to go to these types of events. And there's one of me, there's all the candidates, and I probably have several positions I'm recruiting for. I've gone to several fairs, and I also have hiring managers beating down my door wanting to know when they can get their summer interns in or get their back position filled. So it's like me against the world. So if you're willing to say, hey, can I check in with you in a couple months, you know, when you're getting ready to ramp up that interviewing schedule, most people are going to love to hear that. You've just taken a burden off of me as the recruiter. Now, some recruiters might say, gosh, you know what, I really would prefer that people not contact me because it can get really overwhelming. I will contact you. And then at that point, you say, that's great. I'll look forward to hearing from you. But I am a big believer, especially if you can build a rapport with a recruiter, that if you ask about the timeline ahead of time for the position that you're interested in, and then you gently ask, hey, can I check in? Can I follow up? Then you're preparing for what happens after the fair. The other thing that I recommend doing at the fair is when you're done, it's nice to have this if you need to make a note. So let's say the recruiter says, well, you know, if you're really interested in our summer internship program, you need to go to our website, you need to click on this and this. You might say, hey, I really want, you know, you can take a note of that. The other thing I recommend doing is after you're done talking to the interviewer and you leave the table, you might want to go to a part of the fair and write down any thoughts that you have, kind of get your mind together about what the next steps might be. You don't really want to take lots of detailed notes right at the recruiter table. But if you're going to be talking to multiple employers, you're going to find that you want to keep each employer separate in your notes so that you can follow up accordingly. All right, so here we are at the fair. We're asking our questions, we're being enthusiastic, we're confident, and we're kind of preparing to find out what the next steps are in the position and how we can follow up. Anything else that we might need to do at the fair to be successful? All right, I think we've covered most of it. We also want to be respectful and just know that some recruiters might have a line. So you're just going to be patient if you need to stand in the line, or you might go visit with another employer or two and come back. All right. Okay. The fair's done. We've survived the fair. And for the students that come, we're just so happy that they came. But I'd also like to tack on an after. So I've kind of already mentioned that. I like to call it Diet Coke time, whatever your favorite non-alcoholic drink is. I like Diet Mountain Dew myself. I recommend within about 24 hours of you going to the fair, you need to sit down and kind of look through your notes so that you can get your mind organized around what happened at the fair. So if I'm sitting down within a day or two and I'm looking, let's say we're going to look for a summer internship. And I'm sitting down and I'm going through my notes. What are some things that I'm going to be thinking about and planning for? I kind of call it the after party. What am I going to be doing so that I can hopefully get that summer internship? What are some things I'm going to do? Yeah.
I mean, you could write down like when you're gonna follow up with them, like put in your schedule.
Exactly, exactly. Again, I'm giving you the perspective of a recruiter. So if I said, yeah, sure, go ahead and follow up with me, maybe mid-March, send me an email. It's going to be your responsibility to put that in your calendar. So you're going to create a calendar of action items that you need to do for employers and following up. What else might you need to do? I'm going to put some things in my calendar about following up. What are some other things I might need to do based on conversations with the recruiters? Yeah, go ahead.
You may have found places that you want to put in an application for. And so
Absolutely.
make note of those.
Exactly. So, I might go through my to-do list and realize, oh, I talked to Jane over at XYZ company. She said that I really need to be getting in my application within the next week and that I could send her an email after I submit my application. So I need to be putting that on my to-do list so that I meet that deadline. Absolutely, you might have some applications that you need to get into certain companies to start that process. All right, so those are going to be the main things. The other thing, if you've really had a connection with an employer, you don't necessarily need to do this with all the employers, but if you've really built up a rapport and they show an interest in you, you might, and you have their card, you might also send a quick thank you note. It was so great to meet you at the fair. I really appreciate your time traveling here. Sometimes our recruiters will come and they will go from college to college. They'll be away from their home for, sometimes weeks at a time. Hope you have a great trip back. Now, again, you don't necessarily need to do that with each and every employer, but again, if you have a connection, boy, that might mean a lot to me, especially if you've really hit it off. And then when that application comes through, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember her. She thanked me for my time, thanked me for coming to UVU, taking time to come out and meet with the students. So, and so again, possibly thank you emails. It's really hard this day and age with COVID and everything going on to send out handwritten thank you notes as much as we used to, because we don't know where people are working. All right, so these are the main things that you want to keep in mind before, during, and after. And here at the Career Development Center, we're here to help you along the way. I mentioned we have 6 career counselors, so we can help you fine-tune your resume. And so if you go to our website, you just search the Career Development Center, you can schedule an appointment to meet with a career counselor. We meet with students in person, via Teams, and also by phone. And with 6 of us, it's great. We meet with all students. So usually you should be able to get in within a day, usually at the most. And if you need to schedule something out further, we have availability. We can also help you polish up that tell me about yourself so that you feel confident going up to an employer and saying, hi, my name's Jen. I'm a marketing major and I'm a junior here at UVU. And I'm really interested in digital marketing. I've done a lot of research on your company and the type of work that you're doing in that space. I recently applied for, your position. Can we talk a little bit more about that? So we can help you polish up that tell me about yourself so that you're more confident in going up to the employers. You can also have an individual coaching session where we will look at the fair or fairs, depending on your major, and we can help you come up with a list of target companies that will work for you so that you have that list going out of our office and you're already off and running. So here at the Career Development Center, we are here to help you in any way that we possibly can. All right, so with that, we're so happy to have you here. If you haven't grabbed a donut, you're welcome to do that on your way out. And I really love the handout that we've put together here for you. This is a reminder of what we talked about today. But as we close, we have a few minutes for questions, if there are any. And if there aren't, we'll go ahead and end our session. We are recording it. So when the recording's done, if you have a question you want to come and ask me individually, I'm going to be happy to stay for a few minutes as well. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Yes, go ahead.
What if you talk to like a company and you're not like really interested in it? Like, what do you say, or do you just like listen and?
That's great. So sometimes you might do research on a company and think they're a good fit, and then for some reason, you realize, oh, this is not going to be the best fit for me. I believe in a few things. You always can still be gracious, thank them for their time, thank them for what you learned about the company, and I would just be careful with any commitments. If you've made a commitment to the company that you'll submit the application, I would definitely follow through on that application. So any commitments that you make, you do need to follow through on. But then, again, that's a situation where, you know, maybe away from the recruiter table or here, you just think, gosh, I really saw something in their corporate culture. That's really not going to work for me. So that you kind of know where you stand with them in terms of future interest. So you kind of go along with it in the moment, you're gracious, but especially if it's a company you're not interested, you can also be genuine. If they're talking to you about a position that you're not really interested in, I think it's okay to say, well, I'm really not really interested in a sales position right now. I'm really looking for something more over here, you know, in the technical arena or in a research area. Do you have something like that? You can graciously try to pivot the conversation to see if there's something that could be a fit for both of you. So that's an excellent question, because with all those employers, they're definitely not going to be a fit for each and every one of you. So I'm very glad that you asked that. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Well, it's not a question, but more like an observation.
Yes.
I have noticed that in some certain companies, something that they're always looking for in employees is that they want their employees to be articulate, and they want to be able to speak clearly.
Yes. Yes. I think that's great. Yeah, a lot of companies are looking for people that are articulate and that communicate well. And so again, that's something that if you have strong communication skills, that you can tie into how your communication fits with either their company culture, or even a specific position. So thank you very much for making that comment. Anything else before we wrap up? All right, well, thank you so much for coming today. I'm going to stick around for a few minutes in case any of you have questions. And by all means, keep us in mind, not only to help you through this career fair season, but throughout your career. And by all means, feel free to take a donut and or popcorn on your way out. We also have candy and other information over there on our table. And we thank you so much for coming out today.
And
To see all of you there.
if you'll come and sign in.